Chapter 2. In all the arts, from hoka to tea ceremony, one becomes skillful by training and technique. What makes each one singular, however, is chi. It is nothing other than the metamorphosis of yin and yang that provides for the great sun and moon that give light to the earth, the coming and going of the heat and cold, and the revolution of the four seasons, and the life and death of all things. Its mysterious function could never be fully explained in words. You hear me, you dick lickers? It could never be fully explained in words. Yes? The 10,000 things exist within this, and by means of that chi carry out their lives. Chi is the very fountain of life. When chi departs from form, there is death. And a line between life and death is only the metamorphosis of this chi. When you know the fountainhead, when you know the fountainhead of life, you know the point where death ends. When the ways of life and death are clear, that knowledge pervades the hazy and distinct, the demons and the gods, and they all become one. For this reason, if you place your body in life at this moment, you will have complete freedom. And if you place your body in death, you will have complete freedom. In Buddhism, there is a pervasive dread of rebirth and transmigration. Thus, the Buddhists consider creation and transformation as illusion and confusion, and cut off thought to eliminate discriminating knowledge, returning to an emptiness where there is no coming and going. They become Buddhas. In the learning of the sages, however, there is no fear of rebirth and transmigration. They just ride along with change and return as it exhausts itself. Training their chi, they come to understand the mind of themselves. Although the principle of life and death is easy to know, we are reluctant to leave our lives after so short a time. This is called the mind of confusion. Because this mind of confusion acts without reason, our spirits are tormented, and we do not realize how we are always suffering defeat. One of the demons in the group asked, "Although I hesitate to ask to be informed of its most fundamental principles, I would like to hear the gist of ascetic training and discipline." The demon said, "The way cannot be seen or heard. What can be seen or heard are just the traces of the way. But you will be enlightened about what has no traces by the traces themselves." You get that? But you will be enlightened about what has no traces by the traces themselves. This is called receiving it on your own. If learning is not receiving it on your own, it will have no function. Though swordsmanship is just a trivial art, it uses the essence of mind and, extended to its most fundamental principle, merges with the way. Though I myself have not received it on my own, there is something I have heard in secret, and I'll tell you a little bit about that. But listen without discrimination. Don't just listen with your ears. Look, chi controls form by riding the mind. In this way, the function of the body is entirely grasped by chi. Now, chi's spirit is called the mind, and when the mind is equipped with the principle of heaven, it makes chi its foundation. The essence of the mind originally has no shape, sound, color, or smell, but when it rides chi, it performs these functions. Chi pervades above and below. If you have but the smallest thought, it is possessed by chi. It moves when in contact with things in the mind. This is called emotion. When thinking, it goes back and forth, conceptualizing. But when the mind and perceptions move just as they are, and your true character is in accord with the principle of heaven, the spirit is pierced through from beginning to end. The chi does not move without reason. This is like a boat following a current downstream. Though you can say that it moves, the boat is at rest, and there is no trace of that movement. This is called moving without moving. The common man has not yet cut through the root of confusion of life and death. This always lies concealed and acts as a cover over the spirit. Thus, before the feelings of joy and anger have arisen, in his dull state of mind, it is just like being filled with muddy water. When a thought stirs even a little, what has been concealed arises. His emotions, desires, and irrationalities move, and he is persecuted by his conscience. This is like poling a boat upstream in a flood. Waves rock the boat wildly, and there is no peace within. When chi moves randomly, there will be no freedom in practical application. Swordsmanship is the technique of contention, and it is considered essential to cut through the root of confusion of life and death from the very beginning of your study. But it is difficult to do this abruptly. For this reason, you should use all the power of your mind to cut through the principles of life and death. To develop your chi, to test the techniques of physical confrontation, and make great efforts without any neglect throughout this time. To test the techniques of physical confrontation, okay. Blah, 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 neglect through this time. When you have sacrificed your life for training, when your techniques are mature, when your chi is under control, when principle has penetrated your mind and you have no doubts, when you are no longer confused and your spirit meets no obstruction, then your thoughts will not move within you at all. And when your thoughts do not move, chi will follow spirit. It will move along with animation and will flow smoothly. When chi rides the mind, it will not stagnate, it will not be stopped, and it will control form with complete freedom and without obstruction. Following the perceptions of the mind, the speed of practical application is like opening a door and the moonlight immediately shining in, or like striking something and having the immediate response of a sound. Victory and defeat are the traces of practical application. But if you don't have conceptualization, form will not have aspect. Aspect is the shadow of concept and is what manifests form. If there is no aspect to form, the opponent you are supposed to face will not exist. This is what is meant when we say that neither my opponent nor I exist. If I exist, my opponent exists. Because I do not exist, even the insignificant thought of good or evil, perversion or properness, by the man coming at me will be reflected as in a mirror. And this is not reflected from me. It is simply that he arrives and moves on. This is just like being able to confront your own wickedness. This is just like being unable to confront with your own wickedness someone who has attained virtue. This is just like being unable to confront with your own wickedness someone who has attained virtue. It is a mystery of the of itself so. If I tried to divert it from myself, it would become a thought. And because this thought would obstruct me, my chi would stagnate, and practical application would not be completely or even completely free. The person who comes and goes like a god, neither thinking about nor enacting the unfettered mysterious function, this is the swordsman who can be said to have attained enlightenment.